All right, guys. Tonight we're diving into a name that's been buzzing the wrestling world, Mariah May. All I know about her, former AEW world champion. That's correct information? And she won the Owen Hart Cup tournament at some point. And then there's rumors swirling around potentially about her jumping ship from AEW to WWE, reporting that her contract is up soon. That is the extent of what I know. So let's start. I'm gonna start with Junkyard James here. Give me the quick elevator pitch on who Mariah May is. I've never seen her wrestle. Is she more of a in-ring person to pay attention to? Is she more of a personality? Is she a little bit of everything? Give me the elevator pitch.
Yeah. So if you take Tiffany Stratton and make her more for the hardcore indie fan, that's Mariah May. Blonde hair. She's basically a copycat gimmick, the heel Barbie doll character. And she, the best way I can explain it is she's the indie version of Tiffany Stratton.
Is that pretty accurate, Deep?
Yeah. I mean, that was the comparison I would use. I would say she's a little bit more better at character work than Tiffany is at this point in her career. But where Tiffany is more, Tiffany became famous in NXT because of her moonsault. She's athletic.
Sure.
Mariah's more, she has, she's an actress on the side before she started wrestling.
Okay.
So she does have that type of ability to perform. I would say she's more performer, but like James said, she's a little bit more for the indie, not New Japan, but like the Japan Stardom crowd.
So so you said actress. How did she stay off my radar for so long? What is her wrestling background? Where did she come from?
She started.
Go ahead, James.
So I first heard of Mariah May right before the pandemic hit. She started off in the British indie scene, and to be completely honest with you, I don't know if there's a single match you could look up from her indie scene. Like, the British scene is very kind of close cut, and the way I heard from her is because she can market the hell out of herself.
Okay.
And all throughout the pandemic, she was able to get a lot of money from horny men who liked her kiss cards and things. Like, I don't know if I've seen more matches of her before she signed with AEW and Stardom than I did in her indie career in England. But I found her because of social media and her website and all of the marketing and all of like the sex appeal that she brings. So I don't know exactly when she started wrestling, but she's been on the scene at least since before the pandemic.
Okay. So I mean, it's not like somebody who just popped up in the last year. She's been legitimately making the rounds.
Yeah.
So then, from what I know, the only reason someone like myself would even kind of have heard of her is her work with Toni Storm. Is that fairly accurate? Like, what is the moment? I don't know, Deep, if you know this. What is the moment where like people started to say she's legit for like the mainstream world of wrestling?
So, if we take mainstream being like AEW, WWE,
yeah, definitely. I'm not even going down to casual level. I just mean I think there's levels, and we would say someone who watches AEW and WWE is more mainstream.
Right. So she debuted on AEW, or her first appearance as a signed superstar was November 2023.
Okay.
She debuted in the ring January 2024, and Tony Khan did this thing where her story was she was like the obsessed fan with Toni Storm. So sort of Mickie James, Trish Stratus type storyline. And which in my opinion skyrocketed her to the top of the division. She's only been in one feud in the year, the 15 months she's been in the company. It was Toni Storm. And arguably was the feud of the year last year.
Okay.
And so that's where I feel Tony Khan messed up. I know we're going to talk about would she jump ship. From what I understand, she signed a 2-year deal, so it's up this year. And I don't know how I feel about sending this person and giving her the top prize and then not expecting her to leave at the end of that.
I see what you're saying.
Because I don't know what more she could do in AEW. You sort of he blew the load too quick.
You got her to the top too quickly, and then what it's left. I get you.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
So then I'll ask you, James, do you equate her success to Toni Storm? Is there a world where if she doesn't have that feud of the year, are we talking about her the same way if she's leaving AEW?
I would say probably not. Toni Storm, if I don't know, other than Swerve Strickland, she might be the only person that I say WWE completely dropped the ball on. Of the other wrestlers that have left WWE and gone to AEW, Swerve and Toni Storm would be the two biggest I think WWE would want to redo on. And so Toni Storm's just an immaculate talent. And I mean, without that gimmick, without her being part of that story, Mariah May's probably like Anna Jay, like someone that's there for a couple months and then on excursion to Japan the rest of the year or whatever. So yeah, I would say the story itself put Mariah May in a position to where people cared about her, because even within the, I would say, hardcore fan base, like not casual,
sure,
there were still some people when she debuted in AEW really didn't know anything about her wrestling career. So she kind of was coming in and introducing herself. And so in that aspect, I think Tony Khan did a great job of making people care about her. It's just, did he make people care too much about her that WWE now wants her on their team?
So then, Deep, do you think, so you talked about Tony Khan blowing the load too early. This is the kind of complaint me and you tend to have about Tony Khan is maybe the lack of business awareness. Is it a situation where if that was the plan, you got to lock her down longer term before you put the belt on her, correct?
I would assume so. I mean, that would make sense. I also think, I think that lack of business sense, I feel like while he has all these other things he runs, like, does he really run the Jaguars? Does he really run the soccer team? I feel like, I don't think he's ever really had to deal with like paying the bills. I think he just says, hey, I'm going to, and I also think that's what his appeal factor to the company would be. You take at the time she was 24, hey, I'm going to offer you this money to come to my company, and in 2 years we'll offer you more. And I don't think he ever thought past the, well, what if she doesn't want to come back?
Sure.
And so I do think that does make sense. That's, to jump over to WWE, that's something they did with Drew McIntyre before they put him in a big story. They made sure he was locked in long term.
Yeah.
Chad Gable, the same thing. They made sure he was locked in before they gave him something serious to build upon. So I do think it's the lack of experience in that side of the business.
Sure, I was gonna say, to be fair, I imagine WWE's made that mistake in the past many of times. They're just more mature in the business to know, oh, people are kind of shitty. They'll take the money and go.
Right.
So the rumor is, as far as I know, and I don't know what new has come out since I've kind of read up on this, but James, the rumor is her contract's up in the next, 12 months?
So closer than that.
Okay.
I know y'all don't really listen to a lot of the dirt sheets, but
yeah.
Sean Ross Sapp said, I subscribe to him and on his Patreon, and he said, even though she didn't debut till November of 2023, she was signed to a contract that summer.
Okay.
So she went 4 or 5 months without even showing up. The belief is her contract ends, like, I think right before Forbidden Door in August.
Interesting.
So it's very close. And I think that's kind of why the rumors are exploding the way they are, because there were rumblings of her contract ending like a month or so ago.
Okay.
But nothing as big as like it's been the past week or so.
So then, Deep, here's my question. If she does pop up August in WWE, will she stand out from a crowd? In AEW, it's a little, I'd say, easier to stick out. And in WWE, she does immediately go into competition with Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton, Alexa Bliss. You become one of the blondes. Does she have those intangibles to stick out?
If they sign her and she goes straight to the main roster, no.
Okay.
Absolutely not. She's mid-card. However, WWE has what you would call like the cheat code of NXT.
Yeah.
And so this is why that time frame, I believe, is very, very good for Mariah, is that I believe by August, Jordynne Grace, Stephanie Vaquer, and Julia will be main roster bound.
Gotcha.
I also think some of the more mid-card, like Sol Ruca, I know no one watches Speed here, but Sol Ruca just won the Speed title last Friday.
Okay.
So Sol Ruca, I believe, is going up. That leads me to believe Jada Parker is going to be the face of NXT, and she needs a heel.
Yeah, makes sense.
Insert Mariah May. I think that fits perfectly. So I think if that's all I've heard from guys like Meltzer, all they say is spring, or excuse me, summer, which is very broad.
Yeah.
So it could be, it could be July, it could be August. But that time frame's also pretty interesting because that's their European tour, and she is British.
Interesting.
So debuting her similar to like how they did Stephanie Vaquer, where she debuted on the Mexican tour.
Yeah.
When she signed. So I think that would be pretty interesting as well.
That's interesting. So James, what do you think? Is she a fit for WWE? As somebody, the AEW product and the WWE product. So does she fit WWE, or would it be a mistake if she makes that jump where you can be something special in AEW? And to me, that is a solid path to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Does she have the intangibles? Yes. My biggest concern is, like you said, there's Alexa Bliss, Charlotte, Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton on the main roster. And then if Stephanie Vaquer, Julia, Roxanne, all of the women in NXT, if they stay in NXT, because some may say it's better to stay in NXT than to go to the main roster at this point.
Sure.
For certain people. The biggest risk I think she would be taking is WWE has been known, some of the people that they take from AEW, to give them that instant push. You look at like Ethan Page got an instant push to the world title.
Yeah.
Ricky Saints is now the whatever champion he is, North American, I think. And so I think she'll get that instant push. But I don't know if a lot of the fans would really care for the same copy and paste hot blonde character when they have already established WWE characters that they can care about.
Sure.
So that she has the intangibles. It depends on, does WWE want to use it the right way? That would be my biggest fear, because WWE, they've been known to, you get your one quick push, and then your mid card the rest of your career. So, to me, and I think she could do it, but it just kind of depends on what WWE views her as.
So then Deep, here's a question for you, because WWE is going to place a value on her. And if you're saying it's NXT, I think we all assume that the NXT pay scale is lower than what the Bianca Belairs, the Rhea Ripleys are making. Is there a world where Tony Khan comes in last minute and just throws so much money into the pot that she can't, even if it's your dream, at a certain point financially, you go, all right, I'm staying. Is she worth that much to him?
Absolutely. Right. So that's why I said earlier, that's Tony Khan's drawing card, right? So I don't know if I forgot what podcast it was on, but Stephanie Vicaire was describing her when they were last in Toronto. I forgot what pay-per-view it was, or PLE, so that the WWE fans don't get mad at me. Whatever PLE it was in Toronto last, that's when Stephanie Vicaire signed, and she was on the phone with both companies, and Tony Khan threw money at her.
Yeah.
And she decided to do what she did. I think that will be Tony Khan's play. Just like what James described, this could be sort of like the conversation we had about MJF at this point last year. Is it worth being mid-card if you're MJF coming over?
Sure.
Or do you take the bag Tony Khan's coming?
Sure.
So I do think it's a tough decision. I think if you're, Mariah May, you're 26, even if it's a quick 3-year deal in AEW, get your bag.
Yeah.
And then come over. Because that's what I think personally, that's what MJF is going to do. And so if I'm her, give it 3 more years. Because I don't think Charlotte Flair will be there that much longer. She's not in good graces with the current. I mean, we see this live on screen on Fridays every week now. She's not in good graces with the fans, and it doesn't feel like Triple H is going to protect her the same way Vince did. So I think Charlotte's on the way out. Of course, Tiffany's going to be there long term, but even some of the other main stars, Bianca's just turned 37, so she's not there very much longer.
Yeah.
Becky, I think you talked about it today. You released today.
Yeah.
We may never see Becky Lynch ever again.
Yeah.
She appears like she's done. Bayley is Bayley.
Yeah.
She's good, but how much longer can she do it? I think people are tired of Bayley. And so I think if you give it 3 years, that might be the better timing for you to jump over where you can make yourself the top star of the company.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it like with a Naomi and going to another company. Sometimes there's just more time on TV to establish and create that character, and I think your leverage is different. And that's what I was going to ask you, James. Right. The knock on AEW is always that they take these people from WWE, and we all joke about it. But the reality is, it's looking like the pendulum's kind of swinging the other way. You made the comment of NXT, the champions are AEW guys right now. Like, you can't, there's no way around that. What is your perception, James, if AEW does become, I don't want to call it the semi-pro, but like, it's the next step, right? And I don't think that's a knock. I think if AEW would embrace that there would kind of be like a cycle where guys would leave WWE, go to AEW, then come back. They might have better relationships. But what are your thoughts on kind of AEW becoming that?
Yeah, well, I would consider it like if you look at the Major League Baseball system, like WWE is the Major League MLB, and AEW could be AAA.
100%.
And your young athletes can come through that system, and that's just the business the way it is. That's why I think AEW and WWE, even though they may not work together, they need to have that symbiotic relationship. That's just the business of the game. The top want to get to the top, and AEW can build the future stars and then take those on their way out, and that's just, I kind of agree with you on that. Like, AEW doesn't have to be the A-tier program. They can give you what they give you and do what they do best. And people have had careers in AAA baseball that have lasted, 18 years and they were very successful at that. It doesn't mean that they're not a good baseball player, but they just didn't anywhere in the majors. And so in terms of Mariah, to me, it's like, I guess she has to weigh out, does she want money? Does money matter more to her than chasing her dream? Or is it the dream that she wants? And all of her social media posts that she's been posting the last couple of days have been shared all over social media. And there's photos of her from like WrestleMania 2018 saying that this is her dream. And so it just depends on what she values more. I do think she's playing this the right way.
So that was going to be my next question. I don't mean to cut you off, but that was exactly my next question was, if you were just trying to run your number up with Tony Khan, this is the way to do it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. Because I do believe AEW has given her a number already. And she's going to play it out, wait till her contract ends, and hell, the way that it seems like y'all have said it several times before, there is no technical tampering in pro wrestling. Yeah. She may be already in conversation with WWE now, and let's see if I post this one, thing on social media, if they both won't run a bag up for me. Yeah. And now it becomes a legit bidding war.
I believe that's 100% true. From just the little information I have, I kind of thought, I was like, well, what a better way to get your asking price up than to go, I want to go to WWE. It's my dream. And Tony Khan starts to go, hold on, I made you, and you've only had one story. You have more to do here. Here's a little extra on top of that to keep you here. Because my kind of takeaway from what y'all said is, at 26 years old, I don't know what the rush is. Why you want to jump over. What you said, Deep, is exactly right. You're going to have this next class of NXT graduate. And they'll take over some of those main roster spots. It feels like 2 to 3 years would be a great time to then kind of jump into that pool and hit the main roster right at your prime, if that's what you really want to do. All right, so to close this out, 60 seconds. Give me the final pitch on why she should or shouldn't go to WWE. Go ahead first, Deep.
At this point, I would say not now.
Okay.
It's not a no, not now. For two reasons. What we just discussed with she's running her price up, and what a better way if the contract does end before Forbidden Door's in her home country of the UK. What a better surprise that Tony Khan could say than to say, look at what I did to you. I worked you guys. And so that's what, from the business perspective. Get your money now,
sure,
because you don't know how much longer you're going to be in the business for. And then when you're more mature, more established, and the timing seems better, then come on over. WWE will still want you, and then you can run the rest of your career doing your dream.
Same thing for you, James.
Yeah. So personally, as a fan of AEW more than WWE. I want her to stay long term, but again, like I said earlier, it just kind of depends on what she values. I'll never hate on someone for wanting to chase a dream, and so if that's what she wants, then good for her. I wish her the best of luck. I do think in the current moment, AEW will use her in a better light. Will treat her better just simply because she's already the top star in that company, in that division. She has only had one feud, and I think some may consider that a negative. I consider that a positive because she spent 18 months with one story. There's still a bunch of other characters that she hasn't even intertwined with, much more stories that she can make in AEW. But at the end of the day, like, I can't make that choice for her. Sure. I want her to stay in AEW, but if she goes to WWE, hell, maybe it'll have me watching more regularly than I do.
That's a fair way to look at it. All right, so this kind of ties into the same thing, guys.